I've always asked questions about religion and where do I belong and where do I fit. And when I lived in New York, I used to work with this ex-arms dealer who'd been in prison. And he was a sort of really exciting, interesting guy. But he was Cuban and he had this beautiful shrine table to his mother who died. And he had flowers and cigarettes and lipstick, and he had this wonderful sort of way of sort of worship, if you like, you know. And it was as though, you know, his mum is still with him, you know. So I was really looking throughout religion, really, to sort of find where I belong, sort of, and asking questions about life after death. So yeah, it was a really strong thing all the way through. Yeah, when I'm recording, I tend to try not to listen to anything and sort of pre-recording. So what I do is I do nothing for a really long time. That's why it takes me so long to make records. And I call it the sort of sponge stage, where I'm just absorbing all sorts of things from all around. They could be like paintings, a really strong influence. William Turner was a really strong influence. We're all at sea. Like, I just remember this brilliant story about him tying himself to a mast and get on a ship and going out to sea to get a feel for a painting. And so what I do is I have this big period of sort of absorbing and looking at everything and going to everything, you know, theatrical as well as music and art. And then I have this sort of barren time where I'm just try to be alone and try to be really quiet and try to be away from everything. So everything sort of filters through sort of naturally, I suppose, the influences. So when I was recording, primarily what I wanted to do was try and capture some, I don't know what you want to call it, you know, some people call it magic, the French say je ne sais quoi, and I was really interested in demos, and I really struggled with my last record, making demos, and then trying to re-record it. So with the liberty of not having a record label, and not having a producer, I could just do what I wanted. So what I wanted to do was just capture, essentially, the thrill of the moment of a conception of a song. So essentially the whole album really is about trying to capture a sort of perfect moment of when a song is conceived without it being reworked. So it's as sort of pure as possible. So most of the songs when I went to the studio weren't finished. Lots of them were improvised. So I'd have sort of basics of songs and just wouldn't structure them or finish them and then sort of record them. I think as England, we've always, since the sort of early glamour movies of the 40s and 50s, Britain has looked to America for it to be incredibly cool, you know, and it is. But also we're really quirky and odd and crazy and really bright, you know. And I think that should be really celebrated rather than to sort of try and imitate and copy, you know, what America are doing. Well, I know it's not an easy record to sell. Notes on Death. Lots of people have been very afraid of it already, and I've been getting. Well, I've got to sell my own distribution and
this small one.
Press agent and everything. We have our own record label because basically I just didn't want to compromise. So I'll just be really, really glad to have released it. And I suppose this is my statement of intent, of sort of my artistic integrity. And it's also a reaction of everything that was going on around at the time in music, and women singers, and so many are sort of aren't particularly, I don't find lyrics particularly strong. You know what I mean? It's almost like we've forgotten what feminism is, and we've forgotten how it is to be a woman, and it still feels very much like it has to be pandering to some sort of America, you know, and we're English. I mean, let's be English. And I don't know whether that's sort of being empowering women or disempowering them, being so sort of just the way that they dress and the way that they sort of act and the songs that they write in so much of popular music. So I suppose I'm really interested in that.